Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a Sina interview. Sina of Sina Drums. We've featured her a few times now on the Glenn and Adrian channel, and I've wanted to learn more about her and wasn't able to find much in the way of interviews, but I just ran across this. I think somebody actually provided the link to me, and I appreciate that. This came out earlier this year, which is great because the last thing I looked at was actually from 2019, so it's a bit out of date and also maybe not as thorough as I was hoping to see. So this is great. The channel is Rubix Drums. They are on YouTube. They've got 1,500 subscribers, looks like. This came out on January 22nd, and it's about an 18-minute interview on the Rubix Drum podcast. She's going to talk a little bit about her experience in London, in the UK, where she now lives, originally from Germany. And we're going to learn what she's been up to. I'm very, very excited to watch this. And in fact, it doesn't have a lot of views, which is surprising to me, because I would think, just from the reaction that we've got from some of our other Sina reactions, I would have expected more people to find this interview. Right now, his only has about 500 views on it, which, yeah, like I say, is surprising. Anyway, let's see if we can't beat that here and maybe get this interview out there for those that admire her drumming and are wondering about her past, so or her future or her present or any of those things. If you're not already subscribed, just know that I look at a lot of things on this channel that are non-musical in nature that have to do with musicians working today. If that interests you, please subscribe and you won't miss anything. All right, let's check this out.
Welcome to Rimshot Rambling, your latest podcast at Rubix Drums. This podcast has got spice, and if you want to get involved, why don't you consult your doctor and then apply on the email of info@rubixdrums.com, because we want you on this show, and we look forward to seeing you. Get in touch. Rimshot Ramblings.
Okay then, all right.
Well, welcome to episode 2 of this podcast called Rimshot Rambling, and we've got a special guest here, Sina. Hello, Sina.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to Rubix.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for having me. Yeah, I just stumbled in today thinking this was a drum shop, which it is, but it's so much more.
Oh, I love it when people say that. Yeah, Sina just came in, and then we just thought, why don't we get her on the show, and then we just shoot about topics that I don't know what we're going to talk about. And we also got Roy here in the background. Look at Roy. He's working hard.
I'm way too busy to go rambling. I've got things to do.
Can you see him? Yeah, he's rambling on.
Roy's busy.
He has to ramble on with eBay sales.
Okay, so this is fun because it sounds like it's a completely unplanned interview. And I was laughing a little bit at the difference in his general tone and energy level when we actually went to the interview. I understand that. You know, you don't want to alarm your guests, after all. All right.
Well, thanks to all our lovely customers buying all this fantastic stuff, but we've got to send it to you, so somebody's got to pack it up.
That's right.
Someone's got to work. Not like Garrett. Not like Garrett in the background, who does nothing, but does cajon gigs. He's a cajon player, really.
Ah.
He gets more money playing cajon than drums.
I would love to hear that.
So would I.
It's easier to carry.
Sina, you're here in the UK.
Yes.
Whilst talking, you said that you've just moved here.
Yes, exactly. I love rambling. I will just ramble on then. I just moved here from the Netherlands, where I've been studying drums for a while. And I now will move to London. I mainly work on my YouTube channel right now, which is called Sina Drums. I was told London was the place to be for any musician, especially rock musicians today. So I'm very curious what this city has to offer for me.
So what have you seen of London thus far? What is the best thing you've seen? And the worst?
And the worst.
What's the worst?
What's the worst? Yeah, I guess that's probably always the easier question to answer for German people who like to complain about stuff. I think for me the worst is that there's always people everywhere. But that's not necessarily only the case for London. It's just large cities. I come from a very small village, and I'm used to being in the nature. And right now, when I leave my house, I'm within people and grey buildings.
Have you... London is so close to nature. Like, you go 20 minutes out and you're in the countryside.
Right, but not downtown.
20 minutes from where?
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
Half an hour from here, you're at Prince Charles's estate at Windsor Castle.
Okay, I think I have to explore more.
You need to get out. You need to get out of London. I think is beautiful, but outside of London is even more beautiful.
Okay. So I'm going to ask all of you who are over in London or perhaps the UK in general. Well, first of all, I don't know, but I would wonder if she's driving over there since it is the other side of the road, which is a bit of an adjustment. Maybe some people don't even bother with that. What is public transportation like in the UK? Like if you wanted to go out into nature for a little bit, I mean, is that easy? I'm going to guess it is, but just let me know. You know, I'm over here on the other side of the pond wondering. So
Nice way of putting it.
And
yeah.
there's more people smiling outside London, aren't there, Roy? You think so as well?
Absolutely.
You smile when you leave London.
Oh, I'm cock-a-hoop.
But yeah,
That's not a rude word, by the way.
cock-a-hoop.
Cock-a-hoop.
What does it mean? Cock-a-hoop. That's a new word.
I have never heard that before in my life.
It's a medieval phrase for yippee.
A
Cock-a-hoop.
medieval phrase for yippee.
all right, guys, settle in here.
Cock-a-hoop. So today's about
Beautiful.
cock-a-hoop. So London. Why do you move to London?
Many reasons. I didn't want to move. I'm from Germany. I didn't want to move to the US because it seemed a bit too far away for me personally.
Uh-huh.
And I think London was the next best thing. I mean, already since being here, I met so many incredible people. I love that all musicians and everyone who's involved in the music business somehow will naturally pass through at some point. It's kind of a really natural thing whenever I meet someone online and I can just check like, they will probably be in London on tour within the next 12 months at some point. And then I can hit them
Yeah.
up and be like, hey, do you want to meet up whenever you're in London? Please let me know. I'm here. You
Have
know?
have you been to many venues in London? What's your
No, not too many, to be honest. I've been a bit like...
You gotta go
it
down
was a lot
to
of paperwork for me to do. I kind of locked myself in my little office and just did a lot of computer work. But I definitely want to go out there more.
we gotta get
It sounds like one of the draws that London was for Sina was just the fact that, yeah, everybody goes through there. If they're playing a gig, if they're playing Europe, they're going to be in London. If they're playing a world tour, they're probably going to stop in London. It's a hub. It's a major hub. And it used to be that Heathrow was a big hub for just, flying through to other nations, maybe over to America or wherever else. It's just a good stopping point. I'm not sure if Brexit changed that at all. I understand now that not everybody goes through Heathrow anymore. But still, major city, major for rock and roll history. So understandable.
you and your team to go down to Ronnie Scott's.
Yeah.
You gotta get mingling in Ronnie Scott's.
Yeah, I would love that.
So we've got to get her down to Ronnie Scott's and mingling with all the gang. So Locks and John, if you see this, we've got to get her down to the jam
There's
session.
a great
or
Jeff
to
Beck
the
video from there.
gigs, okay? And Sarah, if you're listening as well. Because then you've got to get mingling with they always come here. We get JD Beck here the other day.
Uh-huh.
And then we get loads of oddball drummers coming down.
Yeah,
So-
I would love that. Yeah.
So you living in London, I suspect that your favourite band is English. Or British.
Lots of my favorite bands are British. Yes.
So who's your favourite British band?
It would probably be the Beatles, I
Yeah,
guess.
there you go.
Probably be the Beatles. Yeah.
So it's not Queen.
I mean, I love Queen. It's, who am I to decide between all of these great bands? I also really love Deep Purple. I
There you go.
really love Led Zeppelin.
Yep.
All amazing bands. It's crazy what Britain has done for the music world. It's really incredible.
I mean,
Again, this is something of an ambush interview. So just keep that in mind. I mean, I feel kind of bad. It feels like he keeps putting her on the spot a little bit. But she's doing fine. And yeah, I like all those bands tremendously. We've watched her do some amazing stuff for Zeppelin and others. Anyway.
I mean, you got to get going with Brian May because he always loves working with the youth here in the UK.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
You got to get in touch with him as well.
If you can get me in touch with Brian May, I wouldn't say no. Yeah.
Okay, then we've got to get. I'll phone up to Toby later on. Toby is a good friend of mine who knows.
Make it
Brian very
happen.
well.
Make it happen.
He does a
Yeah,
lot
sure.
of youth projects and works with younger people in the UK to establish more artistic things.
Yeah.
So it's
incredible.
really
I think that he's onto something there. Brian May probably would be thrilled to work with Sina. Just my impression.
really
Thank
important
you.
that he gets to meet you or you get to play with him
That would be really incredible.
or Roger.
Yeah.
Got to,
Sure, yeah.
And do you have ambitions to get on to Jules Holland or anything like that?
I have lots of ambition. I think I need I need to like do one ambition at a time, you know? I can't do everything at the same time. But yeah, whatever. I would love to do everything.
So you want to play live again here in the UK?
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you want to get gigging, get a band together?
Yeah, it's not the highest priority right now because I really just the day only has 24 hours. I would love it if a day would have 50 hours, then I could do so much more stuff. Right now, there's just no time for me to put a band together myself. If any opportunities come up, if anyone needs a drummer, please do hit me up. I always love to like do whatever, jump on any opportunities. I love to play with people. I love it if I played with backing tracks live, and that was really just a live playing experience that I didn't love as much as having the freedom on stage.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, you can let on stage. It's more about the moment, isn't it? And
Yeah,
you can let
exactly.
yourself your
I know that she had a live band in Germany. I don't know if that carried over to while she was in the Netherlands. My understanding is she was on a houseboat for a little while in the Netherlands, which is a common thing there with all the canals. This was in January when this interview happened, and she must have just moved there. And of course, you have to establish yourself first for a little while before you go trying to do things like meeting up with new people. It's just how it is. Anytime you relocate, you've got other priorities for a little while. But yeah, I'm very curious to see what happens with her. If she gets another band, a regular band going, or if she just contributes to a lot of different projects or whatever happens.
personal self,
Yeah.
let it expose. It can be quite daunting as well because you're seeing a sensitive side or yourself more when you're playing live because you've got nothing to
Definitely.
hide.
Definitely. I mean, it's scary for sure, but I also feel like just not being limited to what someone programmed earlier and then having to stick to that form. It opens up the world for moments to happen, for mistakes to happen, and for magic to happen, but also for maybe bad performances that you can then learn from. But yeah.
But bad performances, Miles Davis said there's never a bad note. Mm-hmm. He said there's no mistakes.
Yeah, there are true words in that. Yeah.
So you just got to live with the mistakes.
Yeah, you gotta learn how to turn them into something beautiful. I guess.
Well, that's what.
You know, this is a perfect segue. We recently took a look at Sina doing Asia, the Steely Dan song, the album track. First, there were a lot of people that were surprised that Adrian had never heard the track before. Well, it's an album track on a Steely Dan record. Adrian is a bit of a rocker, and I'm sorry, but Steely Dan just wasn't all that cool when we were kids. Kiss was cool, things like that. So you got to remember the perspective. Also, you couldn't just listen to a song unless you actually went out and bought the album, unless it was on the radio, and this was not necessarily a radio track either. More to the point, though, people were talking about the stick click that happens in that song, and I've had more than one person tell me that Steve Gadd was intentionally adding that stick click. Well, that's not true. I've got confirmation from Steve Gadd himself on an interview that I located online where I heard him say himself, no, it was not intentional. It was a happy mistake. that's a situation where he turned a mistake kind of into an iconic moment, you know. He didn't let it rattle him. He just kept rolling on through the take. There may have been 2 takes spliced together. We don't really know about that. I thought it was just one. Anyway, it worked. So yeah, if you make a mistake, don't panic. See if you can transition it into something that fits better with the composition.
Live, I mean, I think I get inspired by drummers and musicians who actually push themselves to the limit of breaking on stage. Because then you see the true, I think, the spiritual value of what they're doing on stage. And that's why I think that we're lacking a lot of where we see people get into a meditative state of spirituality. I mean, we could talk a whole nother podcast or whatever we want to talk about that. But I get a sense when I go to a gig and when I see Steve Gadd or anything like that,
Speaking
I'm
of,
always looking for that spark of a moment where they're just about to lose themselves because they're getting to the point where they're in another space. And that's why I think live...
This is what it's all about. And it's about taking risks.
Yeah. How do you handle taking risks?
Well, I try to do it. And if I know I have a bad day, it might happen that I decide in the moment not to take any risks.
Or you got a text.
Ah, yay! That's a good one. Okay. Can I tell a little story?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I played with an orchestra. It was a project called Rock the Opera. It was an orchestra and a rock band playing rock songs together.
nice.
And it was a very interesting mix of 2 worlds put together in a musical way. Because the orchestra had sheet music and they just played what was in front of them. It was kind of very similar to playing with a backing track because me as a drummer, I had no room for any mistakes or for any improvisation or to make a part longer or shorter because the orchestra will do exactly what's on the sheet. And if the song is done after 300 bars, then they will stop playing after 300 bars, no matter what I do or what the band does. And there was a very interesting moment in one of the shows where, for some reason, the orchestra was a quarter note off. Like the whole orchestra, the whole 40 people.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good.
Natural
it was
delay.
like, and myself and the rest of the rock band, which was, I think, just it was not many people, guitar, bass, singers, and myself. We were. I mean, I would say I was right. The orchestra was a quarter note behind. Maybe the orchestra was right. I was a quarter note in front. I don't know, but I noticed when the orchestra came in that they were a quarter note off.
Okay.
And it was such a weird moment because I just didn't know like how to fix this situation. And I knew if I didn't do anything, we would be like out of sync for the whole duration of the song.
Yes.
And we somehow managed to then, like with eye contact, I had some eye contact with the guitarist, with the bassist, and we were like, fuck, what are we gonna do? And all of us together managed to adjust to the orchestra.
So you live quantizing, is that what they call it? Live quantizing.
That's not really quantizing, but yeah, that is, probably what they did was they reached over and tuned down their strings a little. I'm wondering if there was a keyboard player, because that might be a little more tricky, although a lot of keyboards do have a way to bring down the tuning ever so slightly. A quarter tone is in between. That's a half tone, all right? The difference between that. So now imagine the note in between those. It's going to be real dissonant. So you can't really do that without having it sound awful. So that's great. Yeah, quantizing is more where you're coming down straight on the beat, exactly on the beat. That's what I understand quantizing to be.
Yes, I guess it was like funnily enough, someone filmed it on their phone. There's a recording of this on YouTube.
Have to find this.
And within like a 20-second time frame, you can see us adjusting to the orchestra. It was the funniest moment for me that we were able to do this.
Uh-huh.
And the video is just the video just shows myself like looking confused and then laughing after noticing that it actually worked and we were together again. And it's funny, if you look at this video, it kind of like almost went viral. There are a lot of comments and views under it. And no one noticed that any of this had happened. And everyone in the comments just said, oh, it's incredible that Sina is having so much fun. And they see me laughing my ass off. Yeah, because of this, and no one knows that this was actually the reason.
And then when you listen to back,
it's funny, you know. I hear her talking about that, and we're actually going through something right now with the Greystones. We're going to be looking at a video that Phil made over at Wings of Pegasus, where he shows that they use some auto tuning and they use some other overdubbing techniques after the fact, after they had performed it live, and people were kind of flipping out over that and asking us, well, how come you didn't see this in your reactions? And I'm like, well, actually, we did see the overdubs, and we mentioned that in our very second reaction to them, and they actually responded. And, you know, there's a response from the Greystones on our page for Smooth Operator if you're interested. And so we knew about the overdubs. And frankly, I don't think that's a big deal. It's been happening forever in music. But in this case, nobody caught what had happened, so nobody was freaking out about it. You know, granted, they're out of tune, but regardless of how you feel about that, nobody picked up on it. You know, so how are you going to get on somebody else for not noticing things that were later pointed out after a careful analysis using sine waves? You know, it's a bit silly. Anyway, I had to mention that. We're going to be talking more about that in the very near future. But this is a really cool interview. By the way, if anybody knows what clip she's talking about, please leave it below for me. I want to take a look.
critically, do you go, oh my God, it actually flowed?
Yeah, I find it incredible that through eye contact, I was able to adjust at the same time as the other players to what the orchestra was doing. You know, without communicating, I just took like probably 10 minutes explaining the story. And this whole thing happened within 15 to 20 seconds. And that's just, I don't know,
But do you think it was communication or that all of you were in the same energy and it just went...
Probably a little bit of everything.
Communication.
Yeah, but basically my point was I love playing with people who are able to adjust in the moment to whatever is happening.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, that's basically I'm not a jazz drummer at all. I had a little bit of jazz education in my last university, and that's what I really love about the genre jazz. People just go on stage, no one has any clue what's gonna happen, and you're open to whatever will happen, and you're just gonna do something. I really love that about music.
My favorite jazz drummer is Elvin Jones. I always take the opportunity whenever I can to mention that. I mean, also Art Blakey, you know, but Elvin Jones is really my hero.
Music is a journey.
Yes.
And I think jazz is one of my favorite genres. Mm-hmm. And it's also a tough one because it's a vast vocabulary, and you need to have a soul of the devil to get it all out of you. But it's
Late Coltrane.
Stories like this is what is the reason that we actually play music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with
it's
that. important
that you share these with fellow people. What advice do you have to give to people who are in similar spots, or any advice that you can give anyone?
Don't stop. Continue what you're doing. Continue to do what you believe in and what you love to do. But be willing to adjust your path. If there's like an opportunity coming up, never stop learning. You know, all of the good things. I give all of the advices.
And keep an open mind.
Yeah, I think that's it. But we all still have to learn. I definitely have to follow all of these advices myself.
It's a learning curve. I mean, for me, I've been talking to Sina for about an hour and a half with the team. She has an incredible team. And it is so refreshing to hear what you guys are doing. and your approach and ideologies. And I wish you guys the best, and I hope that we can see you guys again soon and come down. And this is your home. Our doors are open. But if anyone's out there who knows about Sina or doesn't know about Sina, you should, if you get the chance to meet her, just talk to her and the team about our items of any nature, any topics, because it's like really refreshing to hear your approach. And you guys have one thing that is spectacular is the oozing of passion. And I think that there's that in us as well, and that's maybe why we're here now by accident, because it's just so important that you nurture that and tell people more about the passion. And on this note, Gareth has left me a note to thank all the guests and listeners, and that we'll see you next time on Rimshot Rambling. And Sina, everyone will know who to follow. We'll put it in the comments below.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you for coming on this short show that we've got. And this is our second episode, so we don't know where it's going to go. But it's been a real honour, and thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thank you for listening.
See you guys soon.
All right. Well, that was really interesting. I understand that it was very impromptu, so maybe it wasn't particularly organized, but it was still a very interesting thing to watch and just to hear about what's going on with her as she is entering the UK. And pretty much, it sounds like it's pretty close to the time she actually moved in. You know, it's now 6 months later. And incidentally, if Sina watches this, I would love to interview you by Zoom. I think it would be fun. I would like to learn more about what you're doing and why you're doing it and all of that. Anything you want to share. I'm also a musician. I can play a little bit, you know, but I know the entire Zeppelin catalog. Anyway, that all said, that was really cool. I'm glad to have stumbled on that, and I appreciate whoever suggested it to me. Thanks so much. And yeah, we'll see if we can't keep watching and seeing what Sina puts out on her channel. I think we're only up to about 4 or 5 reactions so far, but we have got a list of stuff that we want to watch, including with bands and maybe even live gigs here and there. I'm not sure yet. I think that one of them is. That's on the list. Anyway, we do intend to go down this rabbit hole for a little while and see what we can learn, because we think she's really talented, and also she spotlights new talent on her channel as well. Well, folks, why don't you let me know what you thought of this, if you learned anything, if this came as a surprise, if you've ever seen it before, if you've ever worked with Sina, by all means, leave your experiences below, okay? And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you enjoyed the presentation, please subscribe. All right? Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you on the next one. All right? Take care, folks.